Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Spumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. Remember that if you want to be a part of this technology conversation, you can find us on SABC Network. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za on email. You can also use the hashtag SABC Network. Here's what's coming up in the program. The Independent Communications Authority of South Africa says it's now up to the National Consumer Commission to enforce data rollover proposals. Microsoft has launched its first testing and quality assurance center in Africa. And Google is launching a new startup initiative. Fola Olatunji David is in studio to discuss that with us. Hello and thank you very much for being a part of our network.
Thank you for having me on, Zondi.
Now, why are you doing this as Google?
Well, Google is a partner to early stage startups on the continent, and we're going to talk more about that today.
All right, sure. We will touch deeper on that in the program. But first, let's start with your technology and social media news. The Independent Communications Authority of South Africa says it's the National Consumer Commission that has to enforce data rollover proposals. This comes after ICASA proposed ways to help consumers save data. These announcements were made last week. They suggest that data should be carried over and for consumers to get a warning before data runs out. Now, ICASA says the NCC should ensure this happens. It says the NCC is the custodian of the Consumer Protection Act. The announcements that were made last week have been widely accepted. Many say they still don't understand how it will work. So here's ICASA's Dr. Kiabetwe Mudimueng to tell us more about it.
The expectations are that we should deal with the actual cost of data. But for that to happen, it ought to happen when we have defined a proper standardization. The amendment of the End User Subscriber Charter, which is regulated by Section 69 of the Electronic Communications Act, dictates that we ought to have minimum standards in which end users, our consumers, and the mobile operators are guided by. Now, once we've dealt with issues such as the transfer of data, you'll now be able to transfer your data without losing it. You'll now be able to roll over your data to the next cycle.
Uganda plans to slap a new tax on social media. Businesses and rights organizations say this is unfair. The government says it's for extra revenue. More than 40% of Ugandans use the internet. Now they might have to pay to do this. This is in a country where data costs are already high. The tax was announced by the country's finance minister. He says they will charge each mobile phone subscriber using platforms such as WhatsApp, Twitter and Facebook 200 Ugandan shillings, which is about 68 South African cents a day. Businesses say it will inconvenience them.
This is definitely going to affect the business, and the challenge we're having here is it is a form of double taxation, because originally we know that on the airtime that we pay and the data that we use, we pay taxes on, and of course as companies we also pay corporation tax. So these are the tools that we are using to make money, and we are being limited on them, and so it's quite very inconveniencing.
Rights activists aren't happy either.
We must challenge that tax, either by way of litigation or really by way of pressure on our MPs to say, because no tax can be levied without the approval of Parliament, so we must pressure our MPs to say this tax is not a good tax, this tax is a tax that will limit access and therefore affect access to information, access to services, will impact on businesses that are being run by young entrepreneurs whose primary platform is social media. Once we make MPs understand the importance of social media in our socio-economic and political fabric, maybe then the MPs will not pass any law that would allow for taxation of usage of social media.
Of Uganda's 41 million people, 23.6 million are mobile phone subscribers and 17 million use the internet. The new proposal will kick in July. Residents are also not happy about this.
I don't really think that it's a good idea to be taxed to use social media, but I don't know, because I've heard that in 2016, the UN Commission said that internet is a basic right, it's a human right. So I don't think I need to be taxed for something that is viewed globally as a human right, something I need to access because I'm just a human.
I believe the president's idea of taxing social media is going to solve the problem of idleness and all that. So in my opinion, I really encourage it, though it shouldn't be too much, to limit people's freedoms of expression and all that.
In the past, the government blocked access to Facebook, Twitter and WhatsApp during the last general election in 2016. This is something that's becoming more common in Africa. Microsoft has launched its first testing and quality assurance center in Africa. It's in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. This is the fourth such outsourced center for the global IT giants after China, Poland and India. Kenya's software application company TechnoBrain will host the testing center. Sarah Kimani paid them a visit in Nairobi.
A first for Africa. Inside Microsoft's software testing center, work is already underway. It is here that the IT giant's engineering team will test its flagship products for quality before deploying them into the various markets.
At this initial lab, we will be trying to validate the quality of Windows 10 releases. It's across everything that runs Windows. There's Xbox, there's HoloLens, right? There's PC, everything that is powered by Windows. This team will help us ensure that the hundreds of millions of Microsoft customers have the right experience with these devices.
This is one of those stages that gets us closer to that, and I'm very excited to see that we have Africans, we have Kenyans who are here and helping us be successful in this area.
Anybody who is doing work here, I must say they are privileged because you have an access to the latest software that's being released in the world. Before even a user get to use it, this is being tested here at our premises, our testing center here, and they are being part of it. That makes it very unique.
At the moment, 20 units are up and running. When it is finally completed, the center will hold just over 100 test units and will create at least 1,000 jobs.
This is beginning with Microsoft, but I feel that if we do a good job, it will also allow many other companies to sort of take a clue and start something similar. And that makes the whole ecosystem to develop over a period of time.
Microsoft says it is leveraging on the skills set in the country and improved policies on investment in the technology sector.
After the break, we chat about a Google Startup Accelerator program, Google's Fola. Olatunji David is in studio to discuss that with us. Stay with us.
The Western Cape needs national government to fulfill its mandate on ensuring a bulk water supply.
We must ensure that the city of Cape Town never confronts this particular situation again.
The ESCOM is serious about stamping out corruption, which is why the market is now beginning to accommodate us.
Looking at neighboring countries, expecting Botswana just to see partly cloudy skies with a half 34 in Gaborone.
News today at 3 p.m. from Monday to Friday on SABC News.
It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, a lot of startups often struggle in the beginning stages of what they do. There's often a lack of exposure and not knowing where to go and what to do. Google has embarked on its Launchpad Accelerator Africa to help such small businesses. 12 startups that have been identified have already started their journey across the African continent. Google's Fola Olatunji David is in studio to discuss this with us. Hello, thank you very much for being a part of our network.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on Sunday.
Now, why are you deciding to focus on startups that are in the beginning stages?
Well, because essentially the stage at which a startup's growth is very critical is that early stage. We know that so many businesses fail at that early stage. So we, as Google, believe that the highest impact we can create is if we help them get past that early stage and then they start to scale up.
And so what type of help are you giving them?
Oh, it's the way the Launchpad Accelerator for Africa works is it's very mentor heavy. So we have mentors across the continent who have gone ahead. So it's not just Google staff, it's also people on the continent who are industry leaders in marketing, sales, engineering, technology, business development. And then we also help them with travel and PR support. So we take them across the continent to see how businesses thrive. So for example, if you have a South African startup, they will go to Lagos in Nigeria, they will go to Nairobi in Kenya to see how business is done across the continent.
You say if you have a South African startup.
We do have
you have a South African startup?
We do have, in our first class, we do have a startup from South Africa, yes.
And tell us about some of these startups. So what are they? What do they do?
So we have, like you said, 12 startups. They cut across agriculture, finance, education, media, digital publishing, and they're all at the early stage. Most of them have been around for under 3 years. So they have young teams, some of them have, and it's a very nice mix. Some of them have less than 10 employees, some of them have about 30 employees, but they're all solving real problems. That's what they have in common.
So you're saying they go to different parts of the African continent. So
yes.
Which are these parts of the African continent? When they get there, who do they meet? What do they do? What type of businesses do you take them to?
So first, the way the program is designed, it's in 3 high touch points. So this is our very first class, and very proud to say it's the very first Launchpad Accelerator outside San Francisco. And we've designed 3 high touch points. The first happened in Lagos. It was a 2 weeks boot camp where we taught them best practices, took a very deep dive into their business and exposed them to tons of mentors. Now, we also had the ecosystem immersion where we took them through startups that were at their stage 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and showed them that, look, this is how you can become if you work hard, if you keep at it. Now, when we finished the first high touch point, we went to Nairobi. We had a 1 month break, and then in Nairobi, we did something similar. Spent a few days with them and then spent time taking them around. So took them to some technology companies, took them to some companies that were working in so an agricultural startup. They saw bananas, processing bananas. I mean, you think of an idea like bananas and you're like, what can we do with this? But they saw people using technology to solve real problems. And we've done that over the 2 high touch points. We have the final high touch point. It's going to be back in Lagos, and we have a graduation in about a month.
Technology is a huge part of this.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So how must they be using technology?
Well, we see technology as an enabler for any business. At the end of the day, we want to be sure that you're solving a real problem. It's not about using buzzwords or using the latest technology. It's about how do you apply, how do you send your product to your users using technology. So it might be something as simple as over text messaging. It might be a web platform where your customers can access your product. It might be a website. It might be the fact that you apply artificial intelligence or machine learning. So for every startup, their journey is different and their adaptation of technology is different, and we respect that.
Is the support that you give them post this program, or once the program is over, then it's over?
Oh, no. So one of the biggest supports they get is they will forever be Google alumni, Google Launchpad alumni. And it's interesting because the Africa program is an abstract of the global program. The global program has been around for about 3 years, and we've had 12 African startups go to the global program. So those startups are some of the startups that we actually took them to. So we have companies like Paystack in Nigeria, like Trigger Foods, like Delivery Science. So these are startups that 2 years ago were in their shoes, but we've continue that relationship. They're part of the alumni. And we maintain that relationship with them to make sure that as they grow, they continue to see us as a partner, and they know that they always have a trusted ally in Google.
Post this particular cohort, if people want to participate in it in future, what do they do?
Oh, fantastic. So I would advise them to go to the website. The website is developers.google.com, developers.google.com, and read up about the program. So we run this cycle twice a year. This cycle would end in June, but the next cycle will start by Q3. So I advise startups who are interested, read up about the program, see where you fit, and find the best way you can participate. The website is has a lot of information about the program. And we have a commitment to run this program for the next few years. At Google for Nigeria, our CEO actually mentioned this. We have over $3 million that has been committed for this program, and we're very excited about this.
All right, Fola, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, that is Fola Olatunji David, who is with Google, telling us about their new accelerator and how it actually works. We also caught up with musician Monique Bingham, who told us what her favorite piece of technology is.
My name is Monique Bingham, and I can't live without my iPad because I really run my entire need that device or would not have anything going right now. So.
Corruption both in the public and the private sectors needs to be combated.
Where there are clear cases of wrong that has been done, that must commence immediately.
Something is being done about corruption in our country.
Currency, even although it strengthened dramatically after the ANC's recent electoral conference, could conceivably go stronger yet.
He had a soul that would not be for sale.
Stay tuned to Your World for your final news roundup, Monday to Sunday at 21:30.
An exciting opportunity and an absolute must for those with the spirit of adventure is a Kruger Park night game drive.
The railway station itself is already a sight to behold and offers gracious colonial-style buildings and serves as the departure and arrival point for all train journeys.
I wanted to dress with my best color. Being awarded to do the Serpentine Pavilion is the highest commission in my career, and I wanted just to come and show me with my best clothes, and that is blue.
Catch Trains Travel every Sunday from 12 to 1 for all the global travel and leisure trends.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow us, engage us on any of the technology contents that's happening in your part of Africa. Now, Cambridge Analytica, the data firm used by the Trump 2016 campaign, is shutting down its operations and declaring bankruptcy. Tyson Foods backs an Israeli startup to grow meat in the lab. These are some of the top tech stories that made headlines in the last week.
Controversial consulting firm Cambridge Analytica is closing down following a massive scandal over its mining of Facebook profile data during the 2016 elections. The company said both Cambridge Analytica and its parent SCL Elections will ease operations immediately with bankruptcy proceedings to begin soon. The company became the center of a global firestorm in recent months after it was revealed Cambridge had improperly accessed the data of 87 million Facebook users while working for President Donald Trump's 2016 campaign. The scandal proved hugely embarrassing for Facebook. Its founder Mark Zuckerberg howled before Congress to explain the massive breach of privacy. He swore to the lawmakers the company will take steps to make sure it never happened again. Cambridge said it had been losing clients and facing mounting legal fees in the wake of the scandal. In Kenya, with their manicured nails, immaculate makeup and matching handbags, you'll be forgiven for mistaking the 5 women for a group of senior executives. These Kenyan women are not company directors, finance professionals, or corporate lawyers. They are part of a new breed of women who are breaking into the male-dominated taxi sector and hitting Nairobi's road as e-cabbies.
I need to inspire women out there. They can do it. They can do without handouts. As long as you have your PSV, why don't you join such an online business? You do it.
Little Cabs, one of Nairobi's popular ride-sharing platforms and the only app offering riders the choice of a male or female driver, has witnessed a 13-fold increase in the number of women drivers over the last 2 years.
We started early last year and we were very few. We were like 15 of us, and the number has grew to 121 ladies so far.
I'm more comfortable being driven by a woman than a man, one. And women are more friendlier, more easy to talk to. It makes the ride more enjoyable.
Tyson Foods, the largest U.S. meat processor, has invested in an Israel biotechnology company developing a way to grow affordable meat in a laboratory that takes live animals out of the equation.
What we're producing very, very uniquely is a non-GMO cell type that can actually give us fat. And this is the same fat as animal fat and generates the same reaction.
Future Meat Technologies focuses on producing fat and muscle cells that are the core building block of meat, and is one of several firms working on technology that match rising demand for meat without adding more pressure on land from livestock.
This is what we want to get, that primordial filling, that polyaromatic hydrocarbons that is from fat. And this fat you can put everywhere, right? We are planning to make our own cultured meat, but we can also integrate it in meat substitutes.
Future Meat Technologies hopes that in 10 years' time, farmers will use its technology instead of live animals, and that meat-making machines in private households will be as popular as bread-making machines.
After seeing many Facebook hookups, the technology company has decided to start a dating app. This week, our Twitter poll is asking what you think of it. Now, in last place are people who say they will try it. That number is at 15%. 22% of respondents say it's a useless idea. 28% of you say you will, rather you don't care really about it. And there is a figure that is at 35%, which is the majority. And those are people who are saying it might help other people. And that's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network. Now that's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za on email. We leave you with visuals of Chinese drones. For me and the rest of the network team, have a good one. Bye-bye.